A very good evening to everyone. Welcome to this yet another fresh episode of Voice of Healthcare Presents The Big Idea. Via this ongoing series of mini interviews, we have been aiming to feature leaders and visionaries from all the walks of healthcare in a one-on-one Q&A style. Throughout the course of many episodes that have been streamed already, maybe around 10 to 11 episodes, our eminent guests have been continuing to empower all the audience about the expert insights and disruptions and the trends in healthcare industry that are worth exploring and worth sharing on the platform. Our guest today is Ms. Runam Mehta. She is the Chief Executive Officer at HealthCube, an out of the box thinker and strategy expert with over 14 years of experience in building businesses and creating new avenues of healthcare delivery in India. Welcome, Ms. Mehta. It's a pleasure to have you on this episode. To begin with our rounds of discussions, I'd like to know from your end the crucial learnings that might have inculcated early on your journey and that have finally led you to success on every path of the entrepreneurial and business journey.
Having held many different roles in the last 14 years and having worked on several businesses in health tech in India, I've realized there are two or three steps that I like to follow in any new venture. The first step is to go deep. When you start something new, it's really important to take the time to understand in depth every aspect of the business or the role. So, in my current role, for example, we are a device manufacturing and designing organization. It is important for me to not only understand the business side of things, which is the sales side of it. It's also important for me to understand what kind of marketing works, doesn't work, has been tried in the past. It's important for us to understand what the manufacturing timeline looks like, what the potential bottlenecks could be, what are the things that can go wrong, what are the alternatives that we can use. It's important for me to understand the quality framework. What are the regulations that we fall under? Because without those, you can't really sell. And as a medical device company, you don't want to miss out on ensuring that your regulations are completely you're in compliance with them. It's important for me to understand the accounting systems that the organization follows. So while there is a role that you play, it is still important for you to have an in-depth knowledge of the various different segments of the business. And I like to devote at least the first 2 to 3 months to going deep. Then the second thing is to talk to consumers and users, right? I spend again the first 3 months trying to talk to at least 100 potential users or consumers. This includes people who've already used your product. This includes people who you think should use your product. This includes people who have rejected your product. Because all of these three different kinds of people will give you very different insights, right? And that's very important to get. And one yardstick that I always keep in mind is that if no one is willing to pay for your product, you only have a product, you don't have a business, right? So either in that case, you have to find someone willing to pay, or you have to change your product. Because without a paying user, you don't have a business, right? So that's the yardstick I measure everything by in the first few days.
Thanks for sharing those inspirational learnings with us, Ms. Mehta, and I'm sure that our viewers are listening tightly to it. Also, next to it, Ms. Mehta, is what are your plans for expanding HealthCube's footprint across the country and also globally? Please share with us what's next in healthcare when it comes for HealthCube and what specifically HealthCube is focusing on.
Okay, I'll answer the first part of your question first. What's happened in the last 1.5 years on the back of the pandemic, and specifically on the back of the devastating second wave of COVID, is that the gaps in the healthcare system have become very stark. It's become wide open, and everyone's seen where we lack as a system. So technology like ours has become a lot more accepted than it was 4 years, 5 years ago. Now, in this new market scenario, I'm very excited to partner with teleconsultation players, to partner with organizations that run outreach clinics, to partner with public health systems. Our device solves the problem of access to diagnostics. millions of people in this country and billions of people in the globe don't have access to basic diagnostic, which you and I take for granted, right? We solved that problem, and the market is finally able to see the role we play in boosting our healthcare infrastructure. So I'm very, very excited to partner with these various subsegments within the healthcare industry to expand our footprint. India, we've been around for a long time, and we're set to capture the market. But we are also a CE marked player, which allows us to sell in 30 plus economies. So we're also set to set the stage on fire abroad, not just in India.
Thanks for that. And we really wish all the luck for all the future endeavors that we have forecasted for HealthCube. Moving on, touching on the leadership bit. As the CEO of a very successful company in India, what advice would you like to share with our fellow female audience aspiring to take up entrepreneurial roles in the healthcare regarding female entrepreneurship? Any bit of advices that you'd want to give to our budding female entrepreneurs?
Okay. Again, thank you. I think you're asking me really questions that I really like to talk about. I think there are three critical things that all entrepreneurs need, but specifically women need. The first most important thing that women need is mentors. And women seem to hesitate from putting themselves out there and asking for mentorship, for help, for guidance. It's also much easier for men just because there are a lot more men out there, and it's easier for them to form those old boys groups and derive mentorship from there. So it is important for every female entrepreneur, or even a female who's aspiring to a bigger role in their corporate journey, to find the right fit for a mentor, one, two, three mentors, and then leverage them when required. That's the first thing. The second thing, which is super critical for any woman to succeed, no matter what field they are in, is a support system. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Um, for men, their mothers and their wives become the default, support system. They don't have to create a support system. It's just how we are unfortunately, kind of created as a society. But women need to work hard at creating a support system. This could be your mother, it could be your mother-in-law, it could be your husband, it could be, hired help if you can afford it. It doesn't matter. But you have to think about what are your needs, what are the tasks that you spend your time on today that can be outsourced, right? And find the support system to enable you to get ahead. So mentors to propel you forward, support systems to keep you grounded, and unabashed, unashamed hustle. No, you're not too ambitious. You're never too ambitious. Just go out there, do what you got to do, and don't be ashamed, don't be guilty, don't be abashed about it. This.
Thanks for that, Ms. Mehta. Moving on to the final segment of this interview, the big idea question for our guests. The big idea question for you would be, now you've built and executed extensive strategies for entry into new market segments such as paperless COVID wards, senior living facilities, and nursing homes. Could you also please share which areas in healthcare you feel now are very important to be intervened and need urgent attention with such innovative solutions?
I think the next big thing in medicine is going to be predictive medicine. We have, of course, acute care, we have tertiary care, we have preventive medicine, but what we don't have is predictive medicine, right? Something that can tell you what is likely to happen and help you to lead a life that prevents you from going down a slippery slope. For that to happen, the most important thing that has to come into place is our data systems. And I'm talking globally. I'm not talking about India. I'm not talking about a small state or a small hospital. I'm saying globally, we need to get our act together. Our data systems need to get connected and they need to get automated, because personal data becomes meaningful in the context of community data, right? And volume of data, in my opinion, at this point in time, is more important than just the sophistication of the software that runs algorithms. No, first thing you need is to get all of this data into a system which is usable, readable, available, clean. Human minds should be occupied in using that data to solve problems. Today we use human beings to record data on paper, and then the paper gets lost, right? And half the time I don't know what my father-in-law's last blood sugar was because he can't find that piece of paper. but all of this data in a readable, available, usable format, then somebody, a doctor, can think, can apply themselves, not to worrying about where the data is or what the gap is, but to really finding a solution that works for this specific individual. And diabetes is a very well, it's a big problem, but it's a relatively less acute problem. Imagine the applications in things like cancer, when you have all of this information available, and you're actually just using the brain power to find solutions, instead of squandering it away like we do today.
Thank you for sharing your insights, Ms. Mehta. With that, we mark the conclusion of today's episode. Once again, thank you so much for being with us on this episode and sharing your inspirational journeys and also letting us know what's next for HealthCube. Thank you so much to our audience as well who have joined in for today's discussion. Thank you so much.